If you're constantly tracking the calendar for your next paycheck and you always have the where did my money go moment despite just receiving your salary less than a week ago, then today's video is for you. A few years ago, I was in a good space. I had a good job and a decent salary, but I was still struggling and I was broke. Now, I wasn't broke because I didn't have enough income. I was broke because I had no plans for my money. And all that changed when I started budgeting, which is why in today's video, I'll be explaining how to budget and how to make your money work for you without having to lose your fun or lose yourself. So stick around to the end. So let's make it simple. A budget is just a plan for your money. It's not punishment, it's not diet. It's your way of making sure that you have enough to cover what truly matters, like a pizza. Every month you get one whole box of pizza and you have to slice it up into different things. So your rent, your transport, groceries, savings, and fun money. But here's what most people do. They eat up half, if not more than half of the pizza before even thinking. And they start to panic when there's almost nothing left. A budget makes sure that you are slicing up your pizza before even eating it. And that way you have no surprises. Now that we've established what a budget is, it's important to understand how to budget the right way. When I started budgeting, I did it the wrong way. I was too strict. I had zero allocation for fun. Some of the amounts were unrealistic. Imagine budgeting 10K for feeding for the whole month. I was unable to meet up with it, obviously, and I got discouraged, which is why it's important to have a realistic method of budgeting that you use. There are various ways to budget. There's the zero based method where you budget for every income you earn, the envelope method where you withdraw cash and put in different envelope for each of your expenses. And there's also the 50-30-20 budgeting method, which is very common and which is what I particularly use. I like it because you set a percentage of your income to cover for certain categories of your expenses. So 50% goes to your needs, which are your basic non-negotiables like your rent, your transport, your feeding, utilities. Why 30% goes to your wants? This is Netflix, shopping, birthday gifts, family, fun money. That's the 30% which goes for your wants. What 20 the remaining 20% goes to savings, could be your investment, emergency fund. And note that why this method is 50-30-20. I also understand that sometimes our income, 50% of our income do not even cover our basic needs. But once you adopt this method, it gives this reality check that it's time for you to either cut down on some of your basic expenses or it's time for you to level up. The easiest is to level up. You can level up by getting an additional income, or you could level up by allocating your savings to learn a skills that set you up in a short term for higher pay. So that's why I particularly like this method. So, for example, let's say you earn $4,000 after tax every month. 2,000 naira, which is 50% of that, goes into your needs, your rent, your transport, groceries, utility. $1,200 goes into your wants. This could be the subscriptions, shopping, family commitment. Finally, 20%, which is $800, goes into your savings, emergency fund, investment, debt payment, whatever your savings or investment goal is. Now, what this does for you is it helps you manage each of your category of your expenses. You're not spending 70% on wants without realizing it. And you don't feel broke anymore because you have an understanding of where each of your money had gone to. So I typically recommend that if you're starting off, you start with this method. Now, if 50-30-20% do not work for you, you can adjust it based on your reality temporarily. Now, the goal is to get to that point. But say, for example, your rent currently is 60%, which is wrong. It's time for you to start looking for another job, or it's time for you to move out and look for a cheaper place to stay because your income cannot cover your current lifestyle. So, but the key thing is you could adjust like your wants, maybe adjust it from 30 to 20 and make your needs 60%, or you adjust your savings temporarily to 10% just so that you're able to cover for your basic needs. But the whole idea is pick a method and use that to set structure as to how you budget, because that really brings clarity for you. If you're an entrepreneur, a freelancer, a side hustler, or someone that works strictly based on commission, budgeting could be a bit tough, but here's what you can do. Set up your budgets using your lowest possible income. So the lowest amount that you get on a very bad day. Set up the budget using that amount. And also create like a buffer fund for months when you earn more than what you have budgeted. You throw in those money there as an emergency for months that you probably don't earn as much as expected. And you also need to have a must pay list. Now, before you start talking about your wants, you need to cover your basic needs because there's a higher level of uncertainty around your income. Here's something I discovered when I started budgeting. I was running out of money before the next payday, even though I've started budgeting. Now, here's the thing. There's a chance that you're overspending in one key area. For me, it was eating out. I liked pizza a lot. I would buy pizza every Friday, ice cream. I was working in Ogudu then, and Chicken Republic was my go-to. The place was my go-to. And if you stay in Ogudu, we have lots of restaurants that will indulge your cravings. So it wasn't that I was spending thousands on a lot of things, but I was spending very little money and was adding up fast. And this is how I changed it. I started to review my budget every week. And I decided to put like a weekly limit on my grocery or my eat out expenses. So if, for example, with the 4K, you have budgeted $200 for eating out. Now, in order to help you stay on track, you can divide that by 4 weeks and just allocate $50 every week. Now, with that, you are able to constantly ensure that you're on track and you're not overspending. Because I wasn't doing this and I would spend like $100 and I'm saying, okay, next week I won't spend, but that's not true. You would constantly overspend. So I recommend that you track, even though you start budgeting, you constantly track your budget. And you can do this by making it fun. Set a time in your calendar. Don't make it too serious. You can just set a time in your calendar and review what you spent in the week. It could be a Sunday evening, play music. If you use a spreadsheet, good. If you do not use a spreadsheet and you have a note, you can review your bank app. If you have an app that also helps you track the expenses, have a look at it so you see how you've done for the week so that you can already adjust in the subsequent week before it's too late. So I thought it was important for me to state because that was something I discovered. I'm now better at it and I constantly track my budgets weekly, sometimes more than once every week, especially when I've made like a huge expense. I'm like, okay, let me see where are we at. And that's something that I also think you should adopt to help you stay on track. The truth is, a budget will only work if you actually use it. Here are a few tips to help you stick to your budget. Automate your savings. Take out the savings first before allocating money to other expenses. Use a budgeting method and stick to it. And finally, your mindset is everything. If you're just starting off today and it feels like your expenses is a lot, it's not a time for you to start saying, oh, I can't afford this. It's a wake up call for you to ask yourself, how do I afford this? It could mean that it's time for you to get an additional stream of income or have that honest conversation with yourself and cut down on a major expense like your rent. But in all, it's important that you have control over where your money is going and quit tracking the calendar for your next paycheck. If you found this video helpful, do it to like, subscribe, share, turn on notifications so you don't miss out on future video. And as a bonus tip, If you're interested in the free budgeting templates, check out for it in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.